Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hello, readers. Welcome back to the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I'm your host, Leslie, and I am here because I love reading romance, and I hope other readers like yourself find the best books worth reading because life is better with a love story. I hope that your May is going so well so far, but I'm here in today's episode to make it even better, where I am going to be sharing my top 10 new romance book releases that are going to drop in June 2025 that I think absolutely deserve a spot on your TBR list. Because let's face it, right? This romance genre is just and has been exploding in recent months and years. And there are so many new releases publishing, every day, every week. It's amazing, but also can be really overwhelming in just trying to determine what really are the best books that I should be adding to my TBR list. So I help take out that dilemma from your life in sharing what I think are the top 10 that release every month to just, make it easier so you know what to add to your TBR list. You're not always scrambling and you know exactly what you might want to read that's new in all the coming months. So I'm going to help you turn up the heat a little bit this June with these must-read new romance book releases. And if you're still like, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget all of these are so many great titles that you are suggesting, my recommendation is to make sure that you get your own copy of my romance book reading journal so that you can use the TBR page in that journal to write all these down. So even if you don't get to them in June, maybe come July, you'll be like, oh yeah, what was that new release that Leslie suggested? I really want to read it. You can just flip back, look at it, add it to your, Kindle library, whatever, and get reading. My romance book reading journal is available as a printable, which means you just buy it once and you can print it as many times as you need it, however many page or whatever page you want, however many times. I love a printable for that reason, but you can also get it bound as a paperback or hardcover on Amazon. Easy peasy. So just head over to shereadsromancebooks.com and grab that for yourself. Also, wanting to remind you this month for May, our book of the month for the She Reads Romance Books book club is Sawyer by Jessica Peterson. I loved this book. I loved the entire Lucky River Ranch series, although you don't have to read the previous two books in the series to really enjoy Sawyer. I love how Jessica did write it as a standalone, but it fits so well into the series. If you have read the other two books, it's going to be a fun one to talk about in book club later this month. And Jessica is a hoot, you guys. She is so awesome. I saw her recently at a book signing, and it just made me all the more excited to have her join us on Zoom later this month for our author Q&A. It's going to be fantastic. So make sure you pick up Sawyer, read that, and then see me in the club. You can join today at shereadsromancebooks.com/book club. Also for this month, for the romance book reading challenge, we are reading a fantasy romance in May. Gosh, there's so many great ones to pick to meet that challenge. I shared a few recommendations in my newsletter, so I hope you're joined on my newsletter so you get those every month and every week for my weekly challenges. But to highlight a couple of oldies but goodies, if you still need a recommendation for this challenge, I loved The Bird and the Sword by Amy Harmon. Gosh, her writing is just honestly so beautiful. And the story was just a really cool romance. I don't want to give spoilers, but I would highly recommend The Bird and the Sword if you haven't read it. Another oldie but goodie is Radiance by Grace Draven. It's like an arranged marriage
the two have never seen each other until their wedding day, and it becomes a really sweet, slow burn, sort of where they become friends first and then fall in love while they're already married. Such a great, beautiful book. So those are two suggestions, or you can hit me up if you need a recommendation, or check out all of my fantasy romance book list on She Reads Romance Books to help you pick a book for this challenge. And for even more books to add to your TBR list, don't forget that you can always look at my upcoming releases page on She Reads Romance Books, because I update that every week when I hear new romance book titles and their publication dates. So it's such a great resource to know what is coming ahead for the rest of this year and even into 2026. You can also listen or view some of my previous monthly release pages or posts and podcast episodes if you want to know what my top 10 new releases were for past months. But getting ready to dive into the June new romance book releases that I highly recommend that you check out. The first one being Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. This book and maybe one or two others on this list made my list of must-read summer romance books. So if you haven't listened to that podcast episode or checked out the list, definitely do that after this episode. But Megan's new release is it sounds funny, like all of her books are, but it's a fake relationship romance. It is going to release on June 3rd, and here is what it's about. Scotty Price just started a new job, and it's a real sausage fest. She's the only woman on a team filled with Brads and Chads. Expecting a bachelor pad atmosphere, she is quickly corrected when she finds out everyone is happily married. In an effort to impress her boss, Scotty mentions her non-existent husband in a company meeting, but eagle-eyed Chad points out her lack of wedding ring. Panicked, Scotty creates a story about her unhappy marriage, and unfortunately for Scotty, her boss has a solution. A one-on-one session with the best marriage counselor in the Northeast, who happens to be her boss's husband. With no way out of her lie, Scotty agrees to see him. Frantic, she calls in help from her best friend, who sets her up with his brother, an improv-obsessed millionaire. Enter Wilder Wells. More than happy to take on the job, he teaches Scotty the main rule of improv: always say yes. But the rule backfires during the session when Wilder signs them up for an 8-day summer marriage camp with all of Scotty's coworkers, where she'll have to share a cabin with her way too handsome fake husband. This sounds super funny, and if I were honestly to read a rom-com where a main character is an improv comedian, I would absolutely want Megan Quinn to write it. I have a feeling her comedic chops are going to really flourish in this book, especially given that it's a fake relationship setup and forced proximity at a marriage camp. I'm really trying to envision that, and I'm already smiling. I hope there are lots of crazy games and situations that the leaders of the marriage camp will have the participants involved in, and to see how Scotty and Wilder manage them. It makes me also think back to, so my husband and I, our very first date, we went out to dinner at this really great restaurant in the North End in Boston. And then afterwards, we went to an improv show at Improv Boston. And it was hilarious. I was so impressed by just how these people just create the most funniest things, like, on the fly. In one of the skits, I still remember to this day, I mean, we've been together for years, because we went in January, so it's, of course, freezing in Boston. And these two people doing the skit were, like, dressed, they looked like marshmallow men, because they had so many layers on. And so they were showing how they went on a date, and then they were back home and ready to get on, and they were just, like, peeling off layer after layer, and it was just so funny how they were doing it and what they were saying. I mean, I'm totally not doing it justice right now, but I will never forget that little improv skit. It was so fun, and we just had a blast. So looking forward to Megan Quinn's new release coming up in June. The next new romance book on my top 10 list for June 2025 new releases is Never Been Shipped by Alicia Thompson. It releases on June 10th, and here is what it is about. Micah's relationship to music is complicated. As teenagers, her band took off after being featured on a popular TV show, but the group barely released their sophomore album before breaking up. Now, over a decade later, the band is reuniting for one more performance on a themed cruise, and Micah is determined to learn from her past mistakes. No losing herself in the music and no losing her heart along the way. John misses playing in a band, and mostly he misses Micah, who'd been his best friend until the music stopped. Back then, he didn't take the lead either in his guitar parts or while he sat back and watched her date another bandmate. John's never been one to rock the boat, but he's faced with another chance now that his cruise has brought music and Micah back in his life. On board, Micah can't help but see John with brand new eyes, and John's feelings only intensify as the discordant band's tension grows to a breaking point. With 5 days at sea, there's a ticking clock on anything that might develop between them, and they'll have to decide if their relationship is destined to be more than a one-hit wonder. That is super cute summary, and honestly, I'm such a sucker for unrequited love stories, especially knowing that eventually there's going to be a happy ending, and I'm really hoping that that is in the cards for Micah and John. I love rock star romance books. I don't know why, I just do. But this one, I think, has a fun twist to it, given that it's reuniting former band members on a cruise ship, especially when it sounds like Micah was already involved in one of the bandmates, and now John is hoping for his shot. I think it sounds like a great pick for summer, definitely for this June. So make sure you snag Never Been Shipped by Alicia Thompson. The next book on my TBR list is Slow Burn Summer by Josie Silver. This definitely made my summer romance book list. It is a contemporary romance releasing on June 10th, and here is what it is about. Talent agent Charlie Francisco has 3 problems: a divorce that ended his screenwriting career, a business he never planned to inherit, and a take-your-breath-away romance novel, whose author wants nothing to do with its publication. The book is a surefire hit if only his agency can find someone to play author on its summer book tour. Enter Kate Elliott, a former soap actress who's miraculously right for the part at the very moment her life seems to be going all wrong. Kate is still recovering from her own divorce, and Charlie's job offer is a lifeline. She agrees to the pretense for all interviews, signings, and appearances surrounding the novel's publication, but she can't know who really wrote the remarkable story, the one so beautiful it's made her believe in love again. When Kate and Charlie meet, they're all friction and sparks. The one thing they have in common is they're determined to play their respective parts. But as the summer heats up and the lies get bigger and bigger, can they stick to their lines or will they go off script? I've never read a book by Josie Silver, but I love the setup of this new romance. I can't remember how I came to hear about it, but I really think it's going to be a sure hit this month. There's just something about characters who find love after divorce, I feel, that is extra satisfying. And that's both of these main characters, Charlie and Kate. I'm also really interested to see how Kate pulls off posing as a romance author and honestly learning more about the romance story itself, since Charlie thinks it's fantastic and it's a story that made Kate believe in love again. So I think those are just kind of the best kind of romance books myself. So really, really looking forward to Slow Burn Summer, which sounds like it's going to be its own perfect slow burn romance as well. This next book just recently perked my attention, and that is Release Me by K.A. Tucker. It is a forbidden romance, which also releases on June 10th, and here is what this book is about. I may not know much, but I am an expert in 2 things: heartbreak and hedonism. I've been chasing escape from one bed to the next, finding distraction in all the wrong places, like with my roommate's sister and my billionaire boss's lover. You could say I'm lucky in lust, but very unlucky in the other L word. By the time I arrive in Mermaid Beach, Florida, I've decided I'm done with flings. I'm over chasing women I can't have until I meet Sloane Parker, the woman who has made it her mission to ruin the New Wolf Hotel. a hotel I'm supposed to help manage, by the way. Yeah, me, Rowan Lyle, director of facilities. Don't you dare laugh. I don't need another forbidden woman in my life, especially one who could derail my future. But what I want, that's a totally different story. So honestly, it's been like a hot minute since I've read a new romance book from K.A. Tucker, but I just am so excited for this one this month. So I plan to change that and finally get back into her work. I adore her writing. Gosh, like The Simple Wild is a book I just am obsessed with. And this one had me at forbidden romance and the hero who has a reputation for hedonism. Sorry, not sorry. Plus, it's always fun to discover, the heroine who can make a playboy hero change his ways. So I'm kind of excited to learn more about Sloane and her power that she's going to have over Ronan. So yeah, this book recently caught my eye and I hope to check it out this June. The next book on my list, I actually just finished reading, and you guys, it is amazing. I mean, don't even hesitate about picking this one up, and that is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, if I'm saying her last name correct. It is a magical realism romance releasing June 17th, and here is what it is about. Joni Lark has a secret. She's one of the most coveted songwriters in LA, and yet she can't write. There's an emptiness inside her, and nothing seems to fill it. When she returns to her hometown of Vienna Shores, North Carolina, she hopes that the sand, the surf, and the concerts at the Revelry, her family's music venue, will spark inspiration. But when Joni gets there, nothing is how she left it. Her best friend is hiding something, her mother's memories are fading fast, and the Revelry is closing. How can Joni write when her world is leaving her behind until she hears it? A melody in her head, lyricless and half-formed, in an alluring and addictive voice to go with it, belonging apparently to a wry musician with an emptiness of his own. Surely he's a figment of Joni's overworked imagination. Then a very real man shows up in Vienna Shores. He's arrogant and guarded, nothing like the sweet, funny voice in Joni's head, and he has a plan for breaking their inconvenient telepathic connection. Finish the song haunting them both and hope they don't risk their hearts or their secrets in the process. Because that melody, the one drawing them together, what if it's there for a reason? Oh my gosh, you guys. So Ashley's romance novels are definitely so unique, and I absolutely adored this book. I had started The Dead Romantics, but really I'm going to count this as like my first Ashley book, and it totally gripped me, and I just didn't want to put it down. I tried to read it in one sitting, but then I realized, okay, you really need to go to sleep, but had to finish it the next day. But it's one of those books where I just didn't want to finish it because that meant it would be over. And I just so loved Joni and sort of the things that she was wrestling with. And then the hero, which I guess I won't spoil, he was fantastic, and just learning more about him and his own struggles. And all the while, Joni coming to grips with that her mother has started to show signs of dementia. I won't go more into the story. I will share that for my May reading list episode, but just know that this was a fantastic read, and I highly, highly recommend it. This next book, oh my gosh, so excited to pick it up, and it's finally coming out this June, and that is 7-Year Itch by Amy Dawes. It is an enemies to lovers romance, which makes it even more exciting to get my hands on. And it also releases June 17th. And here is what this one is about. I might look like a tall, tattooed, bearded Neanderthal, but like an onion, I have layers. Swipe right if you like a proud cat daddy who catches feelings after direct eye contact. All I wanted was a casual +1 to my brother's destination wedding, but those idiots on my family tree hacked my dating profile and sabotaged my quest for the perfect weekend fling. Now I'm stuck on a tropical vacation with only my hand to keep me company. Until I'm forced to share a room with the bane of my existence, my sister-in-law's best friend. Dakota has hated me for the past 7 years. I wasn't losing much sleep over her screaming rants because she was some other guy's problem, or she was until she got divorced. Being stuck in paradise with a woman who loathes your very existence doesn't sound hot, but after an unexpected moment in our shared palaba, she starts screaming at me in a different way. What happens in paradise stays in paradise. That is until Dakota shows up on my mountain with a proposition. Be her wingman to help her regain her pre-divorce confidence. Suddenly, Dakota's not just a person I love to fight with, she's the woman I want everything with. I have no idea how I pronounced that little cabana thing. I think they're in Mexico. But I absolutely fell in love with Calder after reading 9-Month Contract, which was one of my favorite romance books of 2024. And I cannot wait for his story to get my Mountain Man fix in this awesome series that Amy has created. Plus, I never turn away good enemies to lovers romance because, especially one that Amy writes, because her banter is like off the charts. Plus, I kind of got this hint in 9-Month Contract that Calder kind of loves to frequent a particular kind of club, which I hope we get a scene or two in this new romance, which I think will make things extra fun and spicy. So, yeah, this one's been a long time coming, and it finally is. And I just love the covers that she now has for this series. They are amazing. It's such a cute pink on it. Definitely pick up 7-Year Itch by Amy Dawes this June. Another one of my favorite authors is finally releasing a book this month, and that is Kate Stewart. And her new romance book release is Severed Heart, coming out June 24th. Now, this one's been pushed back a couple of months, so I'm so happy that it's finally going to be here. And here is what it's about. Once upon a time, there lived an ambitious boy determined to become a man before his time. And there lived a woman believed herself past the point of redemption. Her scars mild in comparison to the secrets she holds. Intent on his quest, Tyler enlists the only person who can help him, his best friend's volatile aunt, Delphine, a woman 12 years his senior and one he can't seem to stop fantasizing about. Delphine's only goal is to shape him into the raven soldier he needs to be, but the forbidden connection between them grows. It's the forging of their bond that will irrevocably change them both. And for Tyler, it's the loss of that love that will birth the warrior within. But then nothing has ever been fair in love and war. So, gosh, anybody who is a huge Ravenhood fan of that series by Kate Stewart is going to be so excited that we are finally getting Tyler's story. I mean, you couldn't help but fall for him in that series, even though it mostly revolved around Sean, Dom, and Tobias. But Tyler, oh my gosh. And he had a thing with Delphine, given this little age gap. So I just want to know what Kate's going to bring to it, because we really don't have any idea what is going to come out of this for Tyler. Now, I don't know that's going to be a traditional romance in that sense, because in terms of that, it's going to have a happily ever after, since we already know Delphine's trajectory, and that's not really a spoiler because you know that already from the Ravenhood series. So I'm just really looking forward to reading this. I'm going to go to a book signing with Kate to grab my own copy later next month. But then it's going to set us up for her next release, which is Birds of a Feather, that's going to release in December. So make sure you get this copy in June so that you're ready for Birds of a Feather in December. I am so excited. Okay, next new romance book release for June also just came on my radar pretty recently, and it sounds so cute, perfect for summer, and that is Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler. This is an estranged friends to lovers romance that releases on June 24th, and here is what it's about. Last week, Nina Honeycutt was a professor about to move into a gorgeous new apartment with her long-term boyfriend. Now she's single, unemployed, and living with her parents. Even more surprising is the fact that Quentin Bell, her childhood neighbor and okay, fine crush, is also back in town and wants to resume the treasure hunt that ended their friendship almost 2 decades ago. Hoping the reward promised to whoever finds the rumored riches left behind by the town's eccentric turn-of-the-century seltzer magnate will help her get her life back on track, Nina agrees. Granted, last time the search resulted in a broken heart and 17 years of silence. But Nina's older and wiser now. Surely things will be different. Except Quentin is also older and wiser, not to mention distractingly handsome. And as they resume their hunt, Nina and Quentin begin to rediscover all the things they once loved best about each other. But unlike the treasure, the secrets that left them empty-handed the first time refuse to stay buried. If there's any hope of finding what they're looking for and for a future together, Nina and Quentin will have to be brave enough to excavate their past as well. Well, God, who doesn't love a treasure hunt, right? And I feel like it's really rare to be able to go on one as an adult, right? So I'm going to live vicariously through Nina and Quentin in this one, which sounds like the perfect read for June and summertime. I used to like create these fun little scavenger hunts for my kids during the summer. So I feel like I'm already sort of reminiscent of those fun times. Plus, I really like that I think these are going to be sort of older, more mature characters, given that their first attempt at the travel or the treasure hunt was like 17 years ago. So they've got to be, well, I don't know. I guess they could be in their 30s. If they did it as teens, who knows? We'll see. I'm also just really curious to know what ruins their relationship all those years ago and why they are now sort of willing to try and repair it other than just being in forced proximity with one another. So, yeah, I can't wait to check out Finders Keepers this June. Let's see, we've got two more on my list. The next one, new romance book for June I'm looking forward to reading is The Four Engagement Rings of Sybil Rain by Hannah Brown. This is her second contemporary romance, which releases on June 24th, and here's what it's about. Starling Ranch Inn promises to be a tropical paradise, and Sybil can't wait to escape there, all expenses paid. Well, technically, the expenses were paid last year when she was supposed to go to Hawaii for her honeymoon with her then fiancé, Jamie. But the wedding didn't go as planned or at all, and now she's decided to use those hotel vouchers alone before they expire. Sybil's expecting Mai Tais, med spas, and me time, so she nearly plunges backwards into the infinity pool when she sees that Jamie has had the same idea. His family business is thinking of buying the resort, so he's here with a gorgeous tangerine bikini-clad colleague to give the property a once-over. Desperate to save face in front of the ex who broke her heart at the altar, Sybil accidentally, on purpose, blurts out that she's here with her boyfriend. But what starts out as a harmless lie to spare her dignity soon spirals into an ex-fiancé fiasco when Sebastian, the second of Sybil's 3 failed engagements, pops by fresh off a photography gig. Seb's always up for a good time and happy to play along, sparking unexpected jealousy in Jamie. From snorkeling snafus to stunning vistas to staff parties at the beach, Sybil does her best to juggle 2 ex-fiancés. But it's becoming clear that her past of broken promises must be reckoned with once and for all, including that first fiancé, Liam, the one she never talks about. Is the notorious free spirit life of the party runaway bride Sybil Rain ready to heal from her 3 past engagements and make room in her heart for a 4th and final chance at love? So I read Hannah's debut novel, Mistakes We Never Made, last year, where we first met Sybil, and I have to say that she, even though she wasn't like necessarily the main love story of that book, she made me really curious about her story, and I think I wrote that in my review that I was like, I need to know more about this chick and what happens, and I'm so glad it's going to continue in this story that releases this June. What I'm not sure about is whether this will be a second chance romance or not, although it must be since it's a romance and she's clearly going to have a couple of men to choose from. I just don't know who is going to be the lucky guy. So I'm super excited to find out and read more in this new romance book coming out in June. All right, the last book I wanted to highlight on my book of top 10 new romance book releases for June 2025 is Cruel Summer by Maisie Yates. This is a forced proximity romance that comes out June 24th, and here's what it's about. I think we should see other people. That one sentence unravels Samantha Parker's perfect life. She has a loving husband, 3 wonderful kids, and a comfortable suburban lifestyle. But on the brink of their long-awaited empty nest chapter, Will asks Samantha for something she never dreamed of, an open marriage. Desperate to keep her husband happy, Samantha proposes a summer-long separation with no contact. She knows she has to use the opportunity to find herself, but she also has no interest in being with anyone but Will. She's confident when the season is over, they'll get back together like this time never happened. Then Sam gets an offer of adventure from an unlikely source, Logan Martin, a classic car restorer who happens to be Will's best friend. He asks Sam to help him drive across the country to make deliveries. Logan and Sam have never had an easy relationship. He's prickly, aloof, and a little too handsome. And as they traverse the winding roads and breathtaking backdrops of North America, her changing connection with Logan challenges everything she believes she wanted in life, love, and passion. When her summer with Logan is up, will she go home to the familiar stability of her past or choose the thrilling uncertainty of her future? So I already read this book. I got an advanced copy. It was awesome. I had to read this book, right? I mean, the first sentence of the book, I think we should see other people, and to hear that from your husband, I was just like, oh God, what is this woman going to do? And what is this really going to be about? And it covered a lot of different things. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. You'll just have to listen to my episode on my May reads to hear more about this book. But it was, just fascinating to kind of think about, if you've been married for 20 years and your husband loves you, but he's also not really happy and feels like he needs to explore more, what the heck would you do? And I really loved the part where, she's just sort of on these road trips with his best friend and the talks that they have and the things that she starts to learn about herself. Yeah. So anyway, you'll find out more in my next episode, but check out Cruel Summer by Maisie Yates, which releases on June 24th. So it completes my list. Oh my gosh, 10 amazing new books. I hope you are excited to get your hands on. I know I am, for the ones I have not yet read. Again, don't forget, so you don't forget these titles, write them in your romance book reading journal. Go and grab that copy now today. Or if you want, I haven't mentioned this lately, you can get a free copy of my TBR list reading log bookmark, which is free on my website. Just go to my freebies page, and you can download a copy, print that out. Every month you listen to one of these episodes, write down the 10 books that I have. So boom, you have it right there and you never forget these lists. Or, of course, you can always go back to shereadsromancebooks.com, check out my list, or come back and just listen to me tell you more about them. But I really appreciate you tuning in to this episode and can't wait till you tune in next time. As always, happy reading, because life is better with a love story.
That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.